I want you to imagine one day waking up, realizing that the world around you has completely changed. The rules that used to work are now unfamiliar, and nothing seems to function the way it used to. For years, being a CrossFit gym owner was like living in Wonderland. The brand had momentum. People sought you out just because you had CrossFit on your sign. You could rely really heavily on word of mouth and organic traffic to keep memberships flowing. They literally were talking about CrossFit in the movies. The CrossFit Games was on ESPN on prime time. New members would just show up ready to commit, no convincing required. There weren't even a lot of competitors at the time. But now, you've woken up. You've woken up and things are not the same. CrossFit's brand awareness has declined. HQ isn't sending people your way. F45, Orange Theory, and big box gyms are out marketing you. And the build it and they will come strategy no longer works. The question is, what do you do now? And that's exactly what we're going to figure out today in this video, because in 2025, you need a real plan, a predictable plan to drive traffic, turn that traffic into leads, and convert those leads into paying members, right? The old way of running a CrossFit gym is gone. But it doesn't mean the methodology is dying. That doesn't mean it's going anywhere, but it also doesn't mean you have to struggle. At the end of this episode, you're going to know exactly how to adapt, thrive, and take back control of your gym's growth. So let's get started. Now, the pain. Most CrossFit gym owners started their boxes because they love coaching, not because they love marketing or even running a business. You're probably amazing at transforming people's lives, and you probably feel a bit stuck, right? Your lead flow is inconsistent. Certain times of the year, you have people coming in and looking for you. You got word of mouth and all that stuff. And some years, January, February, March are great. Some years, January, February, March are quiet. It's inconsistent, right? Your ad spend, if you are running ads, your ad spend might not be paying off, right? You might find yourself spending 3, 4, 5, 6 times as much as you spent on ads 4 or 5 years ago, if you even ran ads at all 4 or 5 years ago. And you're also going to find that the competition is getting tougher, right? If you're a CrossFit affiliate owner, then you're probably no stranger to competition, right? It's not uncommon if you run a really, really good gym to have competing gyms literally spawned and birthed out of your own member base and staff and coaching cohorts. People literally go down the road and open up gyms because they see opportunity, because it looks easy, right? The competition is only getting tougher in a sense that it's not just them anymore. That was a thing for a while, but now you also have derivatives of CrossFit that have popped up all over, right? You could argue that Orange Theory and F45 wouldn't exist if it wasn't for CrossFit proving the group fitness model and them essentially making CrossFit light derivatives of the model, right? And then them taking their business sense and scaling it. Here's the hard truth, guys. Here's the real consequences. Rather than make some stuff up and trying to sell you something, I'm going to just give you some hard in-your-face data that many of you are probably not going to like. It's probably not going to make you super, super happy, but I'm just the messenger, so don't shoot me. CrossFit as a fitness movement is losing popularity every day. Most CrossFit gym owners, I know because I was one, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that story later. To you, it's your everything, right? To you, it's changed your lives and it's everything, but we're in a little bit of a bubble and we're in an echo chamber, especially if you spend all your time in conversations with other people who just do CrossFit or own CrossFit gyms on the internet. If you were to step outside that box, you'd be able to see pretty quickly that it's losing popularity every day. And that's not just my opinion. Okay, that's not my opinion. If you go to relevant data sources, right? Most everybody uses the internet these days to find things. And the internet's actually what provided for CrossFit for so long, right? Literally CrossFit came of age as a brand as the internet came of age. And those, social media, Facebook, Google, they were literally like the things that CrossFit leveraged, right? The CrossFit's original media team leveraged social media and Google to get out in front of everybody without spending a lot of money on advertising. CrossFit and Greg Glassman hardly spent any money on advertising in the early days, outside of just paying a media team really, really well to make sure it got out there, right? So if you go to Google Trends and type in the most popular search terms people have used to search to find CrossFit gyms over the last decade, here's what you're going to see. And now, just to make sure this was objective, because if you type in the word CrossFit, you're going to get some really, really skewed data results if you do this, because what happens is last year, a guy died at the CrossFit Games, for example. That spiked the traffic up for the word CrossFit, but that's not relative to most CrossFit gyms, right? Like most people don't know that happened. They're not searching the term CrossFit when they're looking for a gym. They're going to type something more specific if they're looking for an actual affiliate for their actual gym. So the terms that matter the most to a CrossFit gym that will tell us if they're using the word CrossFit as the means to search for it would be terms that are pretty commonsensical, right? CrossFit gyms near me, CrossFit CrossFit gym near me, CrossFit near me, right? It's going to be something near them is going to be the most conclusive as to like whether or not people are looking for a CrossFit gym near them and if that's top of mind. So the search term CrossFit gyms near me is down 68%, right? So if you go to Google Trends and you type in CrossFit gyms near me, you will see in 2020, it hit its all-time high, and then it has pretty much been on a downward trend since then, and it's at 32% of what it was. If that was 100%, it's at 32% now. CrossFit gym near me, without the S, just CrossFit gym near me, is down 81% since 2020. And if you type in other search terms like CrossFit gyms that are relative to someone actually searching for a physical brick and mortar location near them, you will find similar results. Meanwhile, searches for brands, because you might be thinking, oh, maybe fitness as a whole is kind of slowing down. But you'd be wrong, because meanwhile, searches for brands like F45 and Orange Theory and other group fitness offerings in this space are nearly 2 to 4x the search volume of CrossFit in 2025. So if you go and type in CrossFit in Google Trends, you can literally type in CrossFit gym near me and you can compare other searches. And if you type in Orange Theory near me, or you type in F45 near me, or F45 fitness near me, or Orange Theory gym near me, any derivative of that term, you will find that it is getting 3 to 4x the search volume of the terms CrossFit gyms near me or CrossFit gym near me, right? So I really tried really hard with that search data to be objective and make sure the real data was there. So here's the real consequences. There are CrossFit gyms closing, right? CrossFit HQ has a whole new regime of people that have people to answer to, and it's their job is to make things look good, right? So they say things like CrossFit gyms we're signing more gyms, and here's what's really happening is most of the CrossFit gyms opening are international. CrossFit's basically gone after the international market on the mainland of the most of their strongest domestic market here in the USA, Canada, Australia. Those markets that have been around the longest are actually going backwards, and we see more gyms closing. Big Little Gyms here, we work with a lot of CrossFit gyms, and if one cancels with us, it's often not because of anything we did. It's often because things like their rents have gone up and it's economically not viable. And CrossFit themselves as a brand, like we're seeing more of those brand of gyms closing because people are too hedged on that branding, right? And what's happening is those gyms are closing, communities are failing, and great coaches who own gyms are walking away because they can't make the numbers work. And those who are still standing feel stuck, frustrated, and uncertain about the future, right? And you've probably seen the gurus out there. There's gurus out there, the 50 members in 30 days. Maybe you tried one of these programs. Maybe you've seen others do it. Maybe it even worked for a while for you. But then what happened? The leads dried up, the members left, and you were back at square one, right? So like these temporary short-term fixes, you as a business owner are deciding like, oh, I'm gonna, try to cut a corner here and just, buy some guru's promises without thinking long-term about your business is not helping your case, right? So by the end of this episode of Barbell Business, you'll have a clear path to growing your gym without the gimmicks, without the tricks, without the quick fixes that only work temporarily, but don't give you long-term sustainable growth. Okay, we're not going to get another hack or tactic that only works for a few months, right? What I'm about to show you is a repeatable, predictable system that will allow you to drive consistent traffic to your gym, convert leads into high-value members, and build a thriving, sustainable business that grows year after year. And the best part is you don't need to discount your services or run bait and switch offers to do that. You don't need to be a marketing expert or even pay one. You don't need to rely on HQ referrals or luck, because something that I want to make sure I'm clear about here is I'm not pointing the finger at CrossFit HQ. The first thing I see a lot of CrossFit affiliate owners do is they point the finger at CrossFit HQ. They externalize their problems. When CrossFit HQ, it's not their responsibility for your business, right? What you paid for when you bought a CrossFit affiliation was a license to use a trademarked brand, right? You're paying a royalty to use a trademarked brand in your name, right? So yes, there is a methodology behind that, but you can be a proponent of the methodology without paying to use the name in your brand. Now, there's an argument there that people make of whether or not you should, right? Is it morally right to perpetuate the CrossFit methodology but not be a CrossFit affiliate? Well, you can be a CrossFit level 1 coach. You can be a CrossFit level 3 coach. There's many other ways you can be a proponent of the brand and methodology without you having your business hedge on the name, because that is quite literally what you're paying for. You're not paying to use the methodology. Anybody can use the methodology. It's open methodology. It's open source. CrossFit in and of itself, when it was founded by Greg Glassman, it was literally an open source fitness methodology. It's why you've seen new movements get added over the years. If they were hard and fast as to the way you do things, they would have never said, oh, let's add in these variations of movements. Let's add in unique gymnastics movements that weren't part of the original doctrine, right? Let's add in more variation and different time domains and ways to time and scale these workouts, right? So you're not paying CrossFit HQ to do marketing for you. It's not their job. In fact, like the money you pay for an affiliation, even at say $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 $50,000 is about right for just being able to use a name. There shouldn't be any business coaching provided for that. There shouldn't be any marketing provided for that. It's not a franchise. If you want to compare what that looks like, franchises cost $50,000, $100,000, $250,000 a year for royalty fees for them to give you all those systems, right? To give you all those systems. CrossFit's just selling you a name, right? Now, what I will tell you CrossFit HQ is responsible for is CrossFit HQ is responsible for the affinity of their brand, okay? So we're going to get into that a little bit. Now, what if I told you that there is a way to consistently add new members to your gym and grow steadily without gimmicks and unpredictable spikes in traffics? You know, for too long, you guys have probably been stuck in the ups and downs, and 1 month you're flooded with interest, the next you're wondering where everybody went, and you might have tried, you know, throwing money at ads that don't convert. Someone said run Facebook ads, so you went and put some ads out there and they didn't do anything, right? Or you followed some experts' advice and you got very minimal results, right? Maybe you relied too much on word of mouth and hoping for referrals, right? Maybe your business is too hedged up on that. Running short-term promos that bring in the wrong people, right? Maybe you've tried the discount offers, and maybe burning yourself out with trial after trial, chasing unpredictable growth, right? Like, you know, you want the sure thing, and sometimes we invest a lot of money into people that want to try it for free, and then they don't convert and they disappear, right? The problem isn't that people don't want what you offer, it's that they aren't seeing it in the right way at the right time with the right message, right? You can't just be nowhere to be found, and then all of a sudden, bam, there's an offer, come buy my stuff. When that's the only way you market, if you only market to cold traffic like that, you're going to get a very, very cold audience, right? And they're going to, if it isn't everything to them immediately, and they aren't ready to go through the process, then you're going to churn at a higher rate. You're going to have a harder time converting, right? So here's what the best gym owners have figured out. There's a reason why some gyms continue to grow year after year while others plateau or struggle to stay afloat. The difference is they aren't waiting for leads. They have a system that brings them in. They are attracting the right members, people who stay, not just do whatever the front end offer is or trial and quit, right? They have control over their growth instead of reacting to slow months, right? In general, in life, being in a proactive state is a whole lot healthier place for your brain to operate from than being in a reactive state. What most gym owners do, which is the most frustrating thing in the world, is they wait until the stuff hits the fan to actually go and do something about their business, right? They wait until it's the slow season to go and do marketing, to go and do their advertising, when they should be marketing during peak seasons, right? But they get comfortable during the peak seasons because they're getting a few referrals, they're getting enough to get by, thinking that that's going to sustain them forever, which is the exact reason why many of you are probably here. Now, they know exactly how to convert interest into paying long-term members. Very, very important, right? It's not enough to just say you do it anymore. You know, you can't just put CrossFit in the building and people are like, oh, cool. You know, like they have their misconceptions, they have their false beliefs, but they still might be of interest. You need to know how to convert that interest into paying long-term members, right? This even works in a changing market. CrossFit, boutique fitness, and group training, it's more competitive than ever, and new brands are popping up, taking market share and evolving their message. And gyms that understand how to position themselves correctly and create a predictable flow of members are still winning consistently. Here at Big Little Gyms, we work with 750 plus active gyms as of this recording right now. Only about, I'd say probably less than half those gyms are CrossFit affiliates anymore. We used to be a lot more CrossFit affiliates, but we work with all different kinds of gyms. But I'll still say some of our best performing gyms of any type, no matter how they're branded or what they're called or whether they're affiliated or not, are still CrossFit gyms, are still some of our best performing. And it's not because they do CrossFit. It's because of how they've positioned themselves in the market, right? It's independent of the methodology, right? In fact, one could even say that, you know, CrossFit might be a little bit on its way out, you know what I mean? Like in regards to mainstream boom, right? It's a legacy brand, it's not going anywhere. But again, there's a bell curve there that every trend goes through. It's called crossing the chasm, where you have early adopters, and this has happened to like every technology and every big business for all time, right? And some businesses make it through this, some hang on and become a legacy brand, some the bell curve's huge and long and goes forever, right? But for most businesses, it lasts about a business cycle, which is somewhere between like a 6 and 10 year window, right? And what that looks like is in the early phase of the trend, you have early adopters, right? These were like your CrossFit people back in 05 to 2010. They were doing it before like most of you guys who own gyms, they're probably doing it before you even heard about it. They are the early adopters. They're the ones that really got things fired up. They're people that were like posting videos about doing CrossFit before, like when it was still like a little cult, right? And then what that does is that inspires an audience of what are called innovators, right? People that come along. This is a lot of gym owners, right? People that are like, I love the concept, I love the culture, I love the technology, I love the whatever it is. And those innovators, they say, I want to go and grow it. I want to find out how to get it in as many hands as possible. I want to do my own version of it. I want to have my own iteration of it. I want to interpret it the way I want to interpret it. Those are called innovators. That's most of your gym owners, and most of them took action back from the 2010 to about 2015. That's called the innovator phase. That's kind of where it starts to, go from flat to like really a parabolic curve, right? And then you have right there after the innovator phase, you have what's called the chasm, right? So the chasm is a stage most big concepts that try to go mainstream, become a mainstream success fail. This is what like most of the Silicon Valley tech world is about. How do we cross the chasm? CrossFit crossed the chasm back in 2012-ish, I would say, when the CrossFit Games got on ESPN and became the biggest thing since sliced bread and the newest thing to disrupt fitness in the world. I was in it back then. I remember how exciting that was. It was revolutionary. For anybody younger that wasn't there to experience it, I was in Southern California, which was one of the hotbeds of CrossFit at the time, doing CrossFit in my Chuck Taylors and my board shorts next to the beach at Orange Coast CrossFit. Kenny Leverage, who was a CrossFit Games athlete, he was like a top 15 guy back then. He was like mini famous in that world, was like training in our gym. We had guys climb. It was the coolest thing ever. And it was like we were changing the world, because prior to that, it was like more about bodybuilding or like just, general wellness or things like that. Like this thing was coming in hot and we were a part of it. And it was so exciting. That worked so well that we crossed the chasm and we hit early mainstream success in 2012 to 2016, which is like where it went parabolic, right? Like in every market, CrossFit gym on every corner, that's called crossing the chasm, right? But then you cross the chasm and you go early mainstream. At the top of early mainstream, you get into the mainstream, and then you start to kind of peak and come off into what's called the late mainstream, right? And this is the part of this bell curve where you start to kind of, the mainstream, that it's no longer like a fad, right? It's no longer a fad, and the people that are just doing it because it's a fad and a trend, which it was. For a lot of us, it wasn't, but for a lot of people, it was. For those of us that owned gyms back then, how many people came to your gym just because they heard of it, or, or they had a friend doing it? That's a trend. That's a fad. There's nothing wrong with that. I know CrossFit gym owners are really averse to saying trends, fads, but that is quite literally the definition of it, right? And the bell curve shows that it was, right? Doesn't mean it's not a real thing, right? Doesn't mean it's not a successful methodology. Doesn't mean it's not awesome, right? It just means we relying heavily on that trend and fad. And so we got in the late mainstream, which was, I would say, the better part of the end of the last decade, 2015 to kind of like almost now, right? Where you have this trickling off of volume, and it shows up in your Google Trends data that we talked about earlier, where the bell curve pretty much spiked up from 2016, kind of stayed up there till, depending on your market, 2016, 2018, 2019, 2020, and started coming down, right? And then you end up in what's called the laggard phase. Now, the laggard phase is where like people that like, they've just been sitting on the couch avoiding doing anything, and they're finally going to start trying to do something about it, and they're just late to the game, right? And for legacy brands, what they do is they kind of stay, they stay around, like CrossFit's not going anywhere. There's a lot of, there's pillars underneath it, but whether or not it will be the, what we see with these cycles, with the studying this, crossing the chasm, this bell curve, is some brands never reinvent themselves. Some brands reinvent themselves, but they never reinvent themselves right away. It becomes generational, right? So you could say that CrossFit was benefited from the generational lift of the millennials wanting to do something different, also being a very community-driven generation of people that millennials were the biggest generation since the boomers, and they had opinions, and they wanted to do things different, for good and for bad, right? And CrossFit was one of the things they chose to be like, this is different. This is how we're going to do our fitness. Gen Z coming up, which is going to be the consensus age generation, they're going to be the people having kids next, have the most influence, and have the most voting power in our country. They're going to be the ones to decide what's popular next. And so far, they are not taking to it. Most group fitness gyms are not pulling in an audience of the 27 and younger. It just seems to be aging up with those gyms, right? CrossFit gyms are getting older as they get older, right? And that's been verified and validated with all the gyms I work with. I ask them all the time, right? Okay, so, that's what we know where we sit, right? So the goal here is, the video here, and we're going to focus on, is how can we break out of that? How can we not go with the flow, right? Because as I said, this is not to poo-poo on CrossFit or your business, right? Your business can still be as cool as ever. It's your brand. It's your business name. It's not about the CrossFit in the name. It's about the other part of your name. My gym was Spark CrossFit. And actually, there was a point where we were affiliated. We decided to shed the CrossFit name and just call it Spark, because that's what it was about. It was about Spark. It was about our business and our culture and our community and how our iteration of it. And we actually didn't want to give that credit to HQ, because at the time, and still now, there wasn't, other than the brand affinity that they were creating with the, the media that they were putting out there, there wasn't ever any help on our end. And there still really isn't. There's kind of a charade going on of like, oh, they have affiliate tools, but it is what it is. I'll leave that up to you guys as to whether or not that stuff's actually valuable. So imagine this, guys, a steady, predictable stream of new members every month without relying on referrals or luck or any of this stuff. Never feeling like you have to slash prices or run gimmicky promos to get in the door. I see more CrossFit gyms discounting prices as a means to get people in their door. That is not necessary, guys. It is not necessary to do that. That is selling from weakness. Spending your time coaching and leading your community instead of scrambling to figure out your marketing, right? So getting these machines up and going to have a steady inflow of leads coming from multiple sources while you focus on leading your community and your staff, right? And then watching your gym grow and profit and thrive instead of just getting by, right? There's nothing more stressful. I've owned several businesses in my lifetime, including a couple gyms. Nothing is more stressful than going to bed at night not knowing how we're going to make money over and above paying the bills, right? So over the next 30 or so minutes, might take us a little longer, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, right? And I'm going to tell you why you should listen, right? So I want to give a little bit of authority here because I don't want to just be some random on the internet. My name's Will Hurst. If you guys don't know who I am and haven't followed my stuff before, welcome, if you're listening. And I'm the founder of Big Little Gyms. Since 2019, I've worked with over 1,300 gyms, and right now we're actively helping over 750 gyms implement the exact systems I'm about to show you. My company, Big Little Gyms, just made the Inc. 5000 list. They're number 899, actually. So we're in the top 1,000 of fastest growing businesses in the country. And we got there because a lot of gym owners use our systems, but more importantly, they continue to be a part of our tribe for a long time. It'd be one thing if we just only sold new clients to build our revenue, but we also retain existing clients for a long time. And that's allowed us to build a really, really good company because we help a lot of gym owners win. But before all that, I want to tell a little bit of my story. I was just like you. I was a gym owner figuring out how to grow, compete, and make my gym thrive. I was trying to figure it out. And as mentioned, I'm a 2-time CrossFit affiliate owner. I started in my first gym in Southern California in 2011. I found CrossFit in 2009. Changed my life, right? Changed my life. I made friends. I moved to California to expand one of my other businesses at the time. I was looking for a place to train. I found a CrossFit gym and it changed my life. I made lifelong friends I'm still friends with to this day. 2 years later, I decided I wanted to spread the love and open a gym up in a corner of Southern California where there wasn't a gym, Greater Orange County area. And I grew it to 700 members before selling it. And that gym was kind of like the OG days. That was the early adopter days. That was the days where like you just built it and they will come. I'd love to say I was good at business and I could take all the credit for this, but this was those days where like it was in the heat of it, man. Like you just opened up and they showed up, right? And then in 2014, I opened another gym in Arizona, here in Phoenix, Arizona, where I lived prior to living in Southern California, where I live now. And I started it from scratch. I sold everything in Southern California, sold my business there, made an exit, sold my gym to my partner, and decided I'm going to move back to Arizona because it's just where I want to be. And I started it from scratch in a competitive market, and I grew it to over 350 members in a competitive market. And that might sound like I just opened it. That might sound like, oh, that was easy. But I'll tell you, I actually went through one of the hardest times of my life, the hardest time of my life as a CrossFit affiliate owner in about 2016, right? That's me sleeping on a couple beanbag chairs in the front of the gym. And you can see the perfect bar wrapper there, a couple of tables. This is literally us, like we were moving locations, right? So we had rented like a 2,500 square foot space. We were having some success, but we weren't making enough money and we couldn't put any more people in the gym. We wanted to, when I say make enough money, for me, like the business I owned prior to my gyms was multiple $1 million a year company. And so I wasn't interested in owning a gym so I can make like $50K a year. I wanted to make sure I could at least make 6 figures a year and, make sure my wife has what she deserves, make sure we can raise a family, have kids and raise a family, which was on our list of things to do. And it wasn't looking that way. So we decided to expand the gym and take a big risk and move into a bigger space. So we did. We moved into a bigger space. And this is me in the front room, which became our reception area, moving everything all day after coaching all the classes, doing all the sales, doing all the follow-up, doing literally everything you could think of. It was me. I had like maybe 2 part-time coaches to help out. They coached a couple classes. My wife would come in and coach a couple classes, but we would be at the gym from 5 a.m. because I got there at 5 a.m. to open up for the 5:30 class. And I wouldn't come home some nights until like 8:30, 9 o'clock. And, so like this, and this grind, after doing it for 4 years in Southern California and then doing it for another 2 years here and now moving locations, almost like opening a third time, burnt me out. And I went through some major mental health issues here. Found out I was pretty much diagnosed like a clinical grade level of OCD, which is probably the reason why I've had a lot of success in my life, is I'm very wired. But also I started to question if it was all worth it in the most existential of ways. And it was the stress of going through all this that put me in this position and led me to what eventually came Big Little Gyms. I didn't actually even have it in my sights to start Big Little Gyms back then, but I decided to make a big shift in the way I ran my businesses and apply a lot of what I knew from my prior business, which was a multi-million dollar company, and stop running a CrossFit gym like a passion project, like a side hustle, like a build it and they will come. I decided to stop playing business and I decided to turn pro, right? And so when I talk about what it takes to become a successful gym, I'm not just talking about theory or market perspective. I'm talking about it from having actually been in the trenches, running and scaling a gym just like yours. Having been there. And, what we do at Big Little Gyms, everything we do is based in that. And I'm super, super grateful that, I've been blessed and provided for in a number of ways, but everything we do comes from impact, right? Like, when I own my gyms, I wanted to change lives. And with Big Little Gyms, I want to help you and your gym change more lives. I believe everybody that comes to us, every gym owner that wants to work with us and grow their gym, I believe they are the most well-intended people there could be. And there's nothing better than getting people moving and using their bodies, the gift from God they've been given with their bodies, and helping them put that to use and find themselves through community and fitness and all these things. things, right? So big little gyms would give you the playbooks to get more members, keep them longer, and increase their value. The systems to turn strangers into leads and leads into members and leads into members into long-term paying clients. The tools to optimize your online presence, rank higher in search, turn that visibility into real leads, fully built optimized websites and conversion tools designed specifically to improve your Google ranking and generate leads on autopilot, and mentorship and guidance which is my favorite part, is getting to help transition you into a new version of yourself as a business owner. I like to say that I'm on version 3.8 of Will, right? Like there's the full version and then there's the incremental upgrades. So 3.8, right? And I look at that, it's like, I want to help you create version 2.0 of you and your business, to help you stay on track and scale your gym to the moon. So, why this matters. I've watched the system work over and over again. It is a core strategy for consistency and increasing lead generation and building a sustainable business, right? A business needs to be fed. Leads and sales are like feeding the business. It's like air and oxygen to the business, right? So, I don't just say that lightly. I've been in your shoes as a gym owner. I know what it's like to, want to just focus on serving people, but you have to sell, right? And in fact, you should change your mindset from sales is a bad thing to like sales is something I get to do, because everybody you don't sell, everybody you don't connect with, everybody you don't convert into a member of your gym, you are letting down, right? Everybody you don't serve, that's never heard about you, never gets to the person that could have changed their life by becoming a member of your gym. If they don't find you before your business ends its tenure as whatever it is, then you failed that person by not helping them find you. It's on you. So at the end of the day, it's not just about sales, marketing, or business growth. It's about impact, right? The end goal is simple: to help gym owners build incredible businesses and change as many lives as possible, right? And today I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's dive in, guys. The old way of running a gym, as we said, relying on HQ's branding, waiting for referrals, hoping that happy members spread the word for you, offering free trials. The new reality is, if you keep doing what used to work, you're going to get frustrated, burnt out, and left behind. The fitness industry has evolved. Consumers are more informed. They're more skeptical, right? With all the things they've heard about CrossFit, someone died at the CrossFit Games last year. That didn't help the brand affinity, right? Like that was really, really bad for business, right? It creates more skepticism, right? Do I want to do the thing that's tethered to that guy dying? Now, most people probably haven't heard about it, so it's not that big of a deal, right? But it's out there. It's another loose end flapping in the wind for people to see that create more skepticism. And they're more selective than ever, right? Especially all the choices, right? There's the paradox of choice now, right? Do I go with F45, Orange Theory, one of a million other derivatives, or even traditional gyms? Is your gym, it's not just competing with other CrossFit gyms anymore. It's competing with also like at-home fitness, online coaching, social media influencers. Sure, during COVID, we saw a big boom with that, but we saw that it didn't stick. People don't really want it, but there is a lot of influence out there. There's a lot of things distracting people from your gym on the internet. So the shift is in 2025 and beyond, it's not going to be gym owners who are just great coaches and have a strong community. It's going to be great business owners with real repeatable systems for growth and great community, right? So hopefully you guys, I'm going to ask you, do you see how the old way of doing things is no longer enough? Does that all make sense? Is that something you've arrived on? Have you asked yourself that question, right? Now, some of this might be a little different from what you're used to hearing in the echo chamber, right? I know CrossFit gym owners like to hang out in these little circles where they only talk to other CrossFit gym owners and they're kind of like disconnected from the rest of the world. But, a lot of what you might hear here is going to sound a little contrarian from the people that are suckling at the CrossFit HQ teat. There's a lot of gurus who are literally paid to sponsor CrossFit and all their events and speak at the summits, and they're never going to be honest with you about this stuff because they don't want to bite the hand that feeds them. Like I said, when I started Big Little Gyms here, I wanted to be agnostic. I was like, it's not about, I'm not going to suckle the teat or bend the knee for anybody. We're going to be real and make sure gym owners are growing their businesses. So some of this might sound a little bit contrarian, and some of the gurus out there might even disagree with me, and that's okay. I make more money than most of them, and my clients consistently have far more results than them. We have far more social proof in those groups, even with companies that pay Big Little Gyms or pay CrossFit HQ to be positioned as the authority. So I think it's worth listening to. We're going to start by talking about the 4 problems gym owners face with growing their gym, right? Number 1 is you just don't get enough leads, right? So you're not getting enough leads. Maybe you rank well on Google. Most CrossFit gyms do, right? So the reason why is because you've been around for a while, right? But those Google searches, like as we talked about earlier, specifically for terms like CrossFit, aren't as powerful. They're down 70%, 80%. So if you're only positioned in the market as a CrossFit gym and not a gym that could compete in the larger fitness space in your area, then you're going to see a fall off in traffic. And we've actually been seeing that this year. A lot of our gyms that are CrossFit gyms have been saying, hey, they're not ranking as well, for general fitness related terms. And then they're not getting as much traffic for the terms CrossFit. It's just not being searched for as much. In fact, the same Google Trends data shows that we're down about 20-30% across the country for the terms CrossFit gyms near me in most markets. Some are only down 10%, some are down 30%, some are down 50% for the search volume for those terms. So it's clear less people are searching for CrossFit gyms gyms near me, but the terms for general fitness are not down, right? Gyms near me, that search term is coming off an all-time high of last year, right? Group training near me, still up near all-time highs, right? Ranking well for these terms is super, super important, right? And that's how you show up, right? When people are searching for what you're selling, if you're not showing up where in the top as an option, then they don't click on you. They can't find you, And if you are searching well, say you are, something we see all the time, like say you are showing up at the top for CrossFit gyms near me, say you are showing up for gyms near me. The next thing we see is that those gyms, like their lead generation mechanisms are not built to convert visitors into leads, right? Their website's not built to convert visitors to leads. Their Google business profile is not optimized for that. And they have a website that looks like a brochure, right? They don't have a lead generation mechanism. They don't have a landing page. They have what I call a brick wall page, a page that like someone literally, they click on the Google business profile and it takes them to like a page from their gym management software. It takes them to a website that's like built by them or somebody else. That's not built for lead generation. And as a result, they're not even converting like 1% of the visitors that land on the page. Like most CrossFit gyms that come to us will be getting 2, 3, 4, 500 page views a month from their Google business profile. In fact, if you're listening to this and you're a CrossFit gym owner, go to your Google business profile and see how many clicks you're getting on your Google business profile. I bet you're getting somewhere between 200, 300, 400, maybe even 500. It could be 1,000 page views. You should be converting somewhere between 5 and 15% of that traffic. So say for easy math, you're a CrossFit gym and you're getting 300 page views, which is pretty average. If you're converting even just 5% of that, you should be getting 15 leads a month organically from your Google business profile. If you're not seeing 15 organic leads a month from your Google business profile, that means your landing page is broken. That means you're not converting leads. That means whatever this is not working. The people that are landing on it, they're not converting. It's a bad page. It's talking people out. It's not making it efficient, right? Okay. So that's the first problem. You're just not getting enough leads, right? You can't grow a business if you're not getting enough leads. And also I would say traffic sources, right? So another reason why you might not be getting enough leads is because you're relying only on one traffic source. Maybe the only place people find you is Google, right? They're not seeing you on social media. They're not seeing you through paid traffic. They're not seeing you through other traffic sources, right? And at different times of the year, different traffic sources are working better than others, right? And you have to have what's called omnipresence. People need to be able to see you multiple places. And it's crazy what happens to the brain. There's been like neural scans by like Harvard and MIT that shows what happens when people connect the dots on a product across multiple traffic sources. The brain tends to light up with more affinity for the product because they now believe the product is bigger, right? When they only see you on one traffic source, you kind of look like a one horse show, right? Like you don't really look that big, right? But when they see you across multiple traffic sources, they now begin to take you more seriously and it starts to look like more of a trend. It starts to look more popular, right? So I ask you, does this sound familiar? Are you currently relying on just one traffic source? Do you not see yourself getting the number of leads I just described based on the traffic you're getting? Do you find that you're not getting as much traffic or you're not ranking as well on Google? You're not getting as much traffic from the search terms on Google that you used to, right? Are these things that you're seeing? If they are, then you need to work on that, right? Number 2, no one knows that you exist or who you even are, right? So most gym owners, they talk about their business as if everybody knows who they are, but in your town, in a 7 to 10 mile radius, which is where most of the people who are members to your gym probably come from and potential members. If you were to go to the local grocery store anywhere in that radius and you were to ask 100 people, 99 of them probably would not know your business exists. They would be like, who are you? What's your business? Where are you? I know, I've never heard of it, right? That's not a good sign, right? Like they've never seen you once, never heard of you once, and you've been in business how long, right? Like if people don't know you, they literally can't find you. And most gym owners, most CrossFit gym owners are so concerned with the gym down the road, when in reality, no one knows they exist either, right? No one knows they exist. They might know CrossFit exists, but they do not know you do it. They have no idea. So if your gym isn't showing up in the area where people are actively looking for your gyms, places we just talked about, Google, social media, all these places, they literally can't click on you. You can't do business with something you don't know exists. And then when you go to search for it, if it's not showing up, then like you're not showing up. You don't exist. It's like a tree falling in the woods and nobody hearing it. Does the tree even exist? Not in the reality of that person's mind, right? So you don't need brand awareness. You don't just need brand awareness. You need visibility in the right places where people are making decisions on who they're going to patron, right? So, would you agree that being invisible nearly makes it impossible to grow? It's pretty common sense, right? Like you can't buy things you don't know exist, right? And it doesn't just start with like, oh, let's just shove some stuff out in front of people. It exists by like, leveraging multiple traffic sources where people are looking for things and providing value and giving reasons people click and being good at the things that get people to pay attention, right? Sometimes it is the little things of like a weird picture they saw and they click on it. What's that weird picture? Oh, and then they see your gym name and oh, now someone knows who who we are. There's a lot of studies in marketing around like what it takes to convert someone from someone who's aware you exist to a lead to a client or customer. And they say it takes about 16 touch points for someone to go from just a follower to a customer, right? So they need to see you, and not just see you, but see you in multiple places, and there needs to be a good amount of brand awareness, right? So number 3, the quality of the leads you're getting is very poor. A common trend with gyms whose sole source of traffic comes from paid ads and gimmicky offers, right? So this is really common. You know, if you're a gym that like your lead quality is terrible, like we saw this a lot when like Gym Launch kind of came off its peak, and ever since, like Gym Launch is probably one of the biggest brands a lot of gym owners used back in the 20 teens, and they're not as popular anymore. They're still around, but it's not everybody was doing it back then. And that model used to really, really work back then because Facebook ads were cheap and people weren't as skeptical. So like you got a lot of leads really cheap and the leads converted. That's no longer the case anymore. And in fact, it's quite the opposite, is that they basically teach gyms, and this is pretty much how almost every other guru that wants to be just like Alex Hormozi teaches it, is like you run paid ads to some gimmicky offer, right? You know, and I think their model is like a 6-week challenge, right? Problem is like people who sign up for 6-week challenges are rarely convert for long-term members. Now, the reason why isn't because there's something wrong with a 6-week challenge. Challenges are actually great. Challenges can be a great offer, but it's all about how you construct the offer and make the offer. And if you just sell a quick fix, it's not going to work, right? People are going to, they might buy it, but they're not going to convert into long-term members. So you become a revolving door of members. People sign up, they make all these promises, you don't get the results, they leave, right? So it really puts to test your fulfillment. So the trick here is like building an offer that's actually congruent with the long-term success of your business, right? Which is not the way that they teach it there, right? So that's a big part of it, right? Like there's nothing wrong with paid ads, but the gimmicky offers have got to go. And organic search leads, just to add like organic traffic, a lot of those same gyms that are only running paid ads, they don't have any organic stuff anywhere. So the only place they can get traffic from is these paid ads. So when it ebbs, they ebb harder, right? They are struggling when those ads aren't working. Whereas like organic traffic, those leads are 3 to 5 higher quality than paid leads. So when you're running paid traffic on Facebook, even if the ads are good, and even if the offer is good, even if you're great, like if you can close 10 to 15% of those leads, you're killing it, right? So you have to do a lot of work on a lot of leads to even convert a good, decent percentage of those leads, which would be like 10 or 15%. But I'll tell you right now that organic leads, they convert at a 30 to 40 to 50% rate, even, you know, just without paying a dime for them, right? Now, the problem here is that the volume is low, right? So organic, like it's, you know, it's hard to get, like, say you need 50 leads a month to sign 15 members or 20 members so you can grow your gym. It can be hard to get 50 leads organically, right? But you can get 50 leads from paid traffic. The trick is just finding the right offer that will convert them into long-term members, right? So, you know, question I have for you guys there is like, you know, how many of you guys have run an ad campaign that filled your gym with low quality leads and they disappeared after the first month? You know, that's a really common story I hear. I'd love to hear how many of you guys have done that and seen the flip side of that, where it's like, you know, they promise you see the gurus promising 100 members in 30 days, right? And then you do it and it works for 1 month, and then it works a little less the next month, and it works in the third month, it's barely working, and all those people you signed up are gone. And meanwhile, you've destroyed the fabric of the community of your gym, right? Like that doesn't work. You know, like you're alienating your best members and the members that want to stay the longest. You're changing the culture of your gym by moving to this burn and churn model of business. It's, you know, it's easier to keep members than it is to just keep paying to get more members to replace the ones that are leaving, right? So you have to have the right offer, right? And number 4, the biggest problem gyms have is all or most of your members come from referrals, right? Referrals are great, but they don't scale, right? If your gym relies only on word of mouth, you're stuck in a cycle of unpredictable growth, right? The best way to growth is predictable, steady flow of members coming from multiple traffic sources where people are actually looking for what you're selling, right? This is like what most CrossFit gym owners have died by, is like in the early days, it was all word of mouth. It was all just people telling their friends, and they built their businesses on there. There's some gyms that grew to like 200, 300, 400 members like this in the early days. And it's like, that was all, I shouldn't say luck, because obviously they were good at their product, but like they were lucky CrossFit was booming at the time, right? Because the word of mouth, everybody wanted to know someone who did, everybody wanted to find out who their friends were that were doing CrossFit and which gym they were going to, but that's not the case anymore, right? You can't rely on word of mouth and a build it and they'll come mentality to grow a CrossFit gym. So to sum it all up, what this means for you is you can't just be a great coach. You need to be a great business leader who understands how to market, scale, and sell. You can't rely on HQ or organic referrals. You need to control your own growth with systems that work even when things get slow. And you can't just hope people walk through the door. You need a strategy that consistently attracts the right people and turns them into long-term members. The gym owners who make this shift will thrive. The ones that have made the shift will thrive. The ones who put their business hat on, their sales hat on, their marketing hat on, the whole thing, right? Business is, I always have to tell people, there's 5 facets to business. There's 5 facets. I've learned this from all my mentors, or some of the best mentors on the planet. You've probably heard of some of them. Tony Robbins, for example, right? Seen him speak several times. There's 5 parts of business he talks about, right? Number 1 is your product, the product fulfillment, right? That's like the coaching of the classes, the programming, the thing you give them, fulfilling on the promises you made them in the sale. Number 2 is the operations. So that's your team, that's your staff, your coaches, your admin, your managers, everybody else you lean on to help do all these things and scale up, the operational part of the business, to do it in mass so you don't have to do it all, right? That's number 2. Number 3, now these 2 things a lot of gym owners are good at. They're good at, product fulfillment and creating inroads for people to coach at their gym and scale up operations. Sometimes they're good at it, not always. Number 3 that gets completely ignored is marketing, right? It's a pillar of business, marketing, right? Advertising, making sure people find. Marketing doesn't just mean advertising. It also means like the organic, the word of mouth, all of it. Basically, the traffic channel that brings people into your gym. That's marketing, right? Number 4 is sales, right? Sales is separate from marketing. Marketing is getting attention and getting leads, getting traffic, right? Sales is converting that traffic into high paying. It's growing the revenue of the business, right? It's selling things at the right price and high enough volume to grow revenue to a sustainable rate so the business can be profitable. And then number 5 is finance, right? Which finance is the accounting end of the business, right? It's the dollars and cents, right? It's the thing that a CFO does in a bigger company, right? And so you have to make the shift from someone who just thinks about product and fulfillment to someone who thinks about the other 4 facets of business, right? And so for the next few minutes, I'm just going to break down exactly how you can implement predictable, scalable systems to grow your gym without the gimmicks and short-term tricks, okay? So let's talk about the mechanism. Let's break down the system here a little bit. Let me walk through the exact steps of the system, right? The goal here, just to keep it super simple. What are the 3 things we're focused on here? Again, get more members, make them worth more, keep them longer, right? And you're gonna hear me say get more members. You're like, well, the warning bells are gonna go off in your brain and be like, oh, so much talk about sales. It's like, no. Everything you do in your business is quantifiable in one of those 3 things. Get more members, make them worth more, keep them longer, right? Get more members is the marketing and sales side. Make them worth more is the sales and retention, some of the retention side, the ascension side of your business, right? It's not just retention, it's also ascension. How do we get members to pay more, right? And not because we're trying to squeeze the lemon, but because your members want to pay more, right? There's tons of studies on this as well by like Stanford, MIT, that show that like 30% of the best users of a product, the power users, will gladly pay more for a better version and a more immersive experience with the product, right? So we have to have ways to make them worth more. Also, like we're leaving a lot of money on the table by being an order taker with our sales process. So we need to find ways to get our pricing right, make our offer stronger. And then number 3, keep them longer. All the retention stuff, all the product stuff, all the fulfillment, all your programming, all your class experience, all your community, all your coaching staff, all that's around keeping people longer, right? So it's all quantifiable in these 3 things, right? So one of the biggest mistakes gym owners make is doing these things out of order that I'm going to share with you, or missing a key step entirely when it comes to growth. So this is why many gym owners struggle with lead generation, sales, retention, basically those 3 things, right? Getting more members, making them worth more, keeping them longer, is because you need the right pieces in the right order working together as a system, right? So we're going to talk about how to build it as a system step by step, right? So step 1, you need to have a high converting front end offer. Right? The first and most important step to getting members and making them worth more and keeping them longer is having a high converting front end offer. Here's why most gym owners get this wrong. Most gym owners make the mistake of selling their gym members as a service, gym membership as a service, right? They're thinking about like, this is a service. Here's what it costs, and you're going to pay X and you're going to get Y. The problem here is a gym membership is hard for prospects to quantify the value of, right? Especially in our current marketplace. Gym memberships start as low as $7 or $28 a month Planet Fitness and go up to like the sky's the limit, right? Like in brick and mortars, like probably brands like Lifetime and Equinox are at the top, especially with like Lifetime's like boutique model now. They have like $300 and $400, $600 gym memberships now, right? And it's all like a big collection of features and who can compete on features, right? So if you try to justify it with features, class times, equipment, coaching, towel service, you're just going to race to the bottom, right? You can't compete with the low and you can't compete with the high. There's always going to be someone higher and there's always going to be someone lower, and being right in the middle is actually the worst place to be. Or you can just escape that game altogether, not play that game, and not compete on features. Competing on features leads to price comparison, and a price comparison leads to discounting. Now, here's what I'm going to say, is you might be saying to yourself, well, Will, I don't have any trouble with pricing. I close everybody that shows up in my gym. Super cute story. What that means is you're underpriced, right? That means you're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table, and most gym owners doing that aren't making a lot of money, right? Like you sell a premium product, you need to sell it for a premium price. And a lot of gym owners find out what people really think about their product when they actually start charging what it's worth, right? And if it doesn't stand out and it blends in with the rest of the gyms making the same claims and trying to position themselves as a better version of the same thing, you're going the wrong direction, right? You're going to find yourself in a price war or justification war, which is what most gym owners try to sell. Oh yeah, but we give you this. Oh yeah, but anytime you got to use the word but to overcome an objection, you are already in defense mode and it becomes an argument with the lead. That's not what you want. The solution here is to turn your front-end offer into a transformational experience. Instead of selling a gym membership as a service, you need to productize the components of the offer and build the value around the outcomes and the results of those products and not the features, right? So if you start saying, we give you X and it results in Y and that's worth Z, and then I do that 10 more times and show you how it's worth $10,000, when I ask you to spend $1,000 on it, you're gonna be like, man, this is a no-brainer, this is a deal of a lifetime, right? So sell outcomes and not a service. Outcomes are worth way more, right? You're selling them a transformational experience. Now you might be thinking, when I say transformation, you might be thinking about the old gym launch version of that, which was like a challenge or whatever. It's like, that's not what I'm saying, right? What I'm saying is that like people, everybody's always in the hero's journey, right? Your customer's in the hero's journey. And the hero's journey is how every great story we've ever read and every great movie you ever watched is written. It starts with a day in the ordinary life. It starts with the ordinary life kind of sucking a little bit. It has the call to adventure to finally do something great. It results in it failing and then them being challenged and then them meeting a mentor, and that mentor being someone who can offer them something, a solution, shows them how to overcome that hardship and become the best version of themselves and become the hero to bring the elixir back for everybody else, right? That's how the hero's journey goes. But in the hero's journey, there are two stories going on. There's a story of like bringing back the elixir, right? Bringing back the actual trophy, the win, right? Like they won. But then there's the other story of, that's the external, and by the way, that's the external journey, right? The external journey, the hardships of like going into battle, fighting the bad guys, winning, bringing home the trophy. But then there's the internal transformation of the person becoming an entirely different person altogether. They left behind the old beliefs. They broke their old beliefs. They decided to do something completely different, and they were willing to lose all their friends and lose the entire world they were familiar with in order to go get it. And they made that transformation. And that's the inspiring part of the hero's journey and why it connects, right? Luke in Star Wars leaves home. Neo in the Matrix leaves home. Will Smith's character in the movie Legend, he leaves his ordinary world, right? Or his ordinary world changes beyond him, right? And so you got to meet those. You got to understand this is what people are going through, and the outcomes are worth way more. And people will pay way more for outcomes, right? If everything's about trying to justify it through features and benefits, you're playing a dollars and cents game. When you're comparing outcomes, you're selling a completely different thing. You're starting to compete on commas, not dollars and cents. Okay, so fitness is not enough, just so you know. Like your front end offer should be a transformation offer in some way. And it doesn't need to be the lose 30 pounds in 30 days. It can be a longer term, lifestyle-based wellness, ongoing transformation into a totally different person in the long haul, right? Which is what something like CrossFit does, right? All of us have done CrossFit, had a transformation. It changed who we were fundamentally because of the community elements, because of it wasn't just about the fitness, right? Like you can do burpees and thrusters anywhere. It was how it brought everybody together. It was the culture around it. Those are the things, right? Remember the why, right? The best performing front-end offers don't just sell fitness. They bring together elements like fitness, nutrition, and accountability to create a complete wellness and transformative experience. Why? Because wellness offers and transformation offers are perceived as significantly more value and are seen as an ongoing commitment, not just a fitness membership. They are seen as a shift fundamentally in who the person is. So you're combining things, again, elements like fitness, nutrition, and accountability are kind of how we like to structure offers and have the most success. When you do this, the same person that would have come in and laid down for a $30 discount offer will pay $3,000. And we've seen it. We've seen gyms like literally sell 9 out of 10 of the same people, not the exact same person, but they'll sell 10 people at a discount offer. They'll shift, and the next 10 people they sell, they'll sell 9 out of 10 of them the higher ticket offer. And because they're no longer selling just workouts, they're selling comprehensive transformation. And the price perception shift there is to make your offer feel like a $10,000 offer, right? A $10,000 change, a $100,000 change, $1 million change. When you present this correctly, your front end offer should feel like it's worth at least $10,000. When you do this, when someone comes into your gym and they're sitting in front of you, you'd be like, hey, you're sitting in a $100,000 seat right there. Did you know you're sitting in a $100,000 seat? Because we make $100,000 changes here. And that might sound gimmicky to you. And if you do, you have a false belief you need to break, right? Because it's holding your business back. When you do this, the same person who would have paid $150 to start at your gym will happily pay $400 to $1,000 up front, and with far more investment and commitment. And this is where most gym owners leave a ton of money on the table. They sell themselves short rather than crafting an offer that positions their gym as a premium solution, transformative solution, not just a service. People don't buy gym memberships because they want to buy gym memberships. They buy it because they're deep down inside themselves somewhere, they're telling themselves a story of transformation. And they're looking at this as the vehicle to get there. This is the new vehicle to get there, right? So sell on that. And this changes everything for growth, guys. Once you are confidently selling your front-end offers at these higher price points based on a transformative experience, you can easily afford to acquire customers at a higher cost. You can now scale ad spend, because if you're getting $300 to $1,000 on the front end of every new customer, you can turn around and spend that $1,000 on ads from just one customer acquisition action and say you're getting leads at a $10 cost on, say, Facebook or Google, you can now go and buy 100 more leads for that $1,000 at $10 a pop and get yourself a lot more opportunity, a lot more traffic in your funnel, and allows you to scale your funnel more predictably since every new customer generates higher revenue up front. Right now on Facebook, in most markets, what we're seeing is like if you're running Facebook ads and they're good, it's usually somewhere between $50 and $350 to acquire a new customer, a new member for your gym. If you're only selling a $150 membership and it costs $200 to acquire new customers in your market, it means you're going to lose $50 for every customer you acquire in the month one. Now, will you make money in month 2, month 3, month 4, month 5? Yeah, sure. So you should definitely, it's better than nothing, right? Do it. But if you could change that front end offer to one that liquidates the cost of the acquisition, we call it an SLO, a self-liquidating offer. If you're acquiring enough cash on the front end through a proper offer and you're making 2 to 1 on your ads, you can now self-fund, self-liquidate more ad spend, more leads, and if the cost per lead goes up, you can absorb it, right? You're not dependent on that too much, right? So, question for you guys to close this section out is like, would you agree that turning your front end offer or lack of one into a high value transformative wellness offer would change how your gym grows? Do you think that would make a big difference? If you don't, you should, because we just talked about a lot of reasons why. And we all know that's why people buy things, right? Like the days of someone just looking for a CrossFit gym because they want to do CrossFit are over. There's very few of those people, right? Unless you live in a military town where people just are transferring and they're just looking for a new CrossFit gym. But that's not the general population. And what do I hear from most CrossFit gym owners is we serve the general population. We don't serve games athletes. We don't serve people who are already very fit. Most of our members are people that are getting off the couch. That's our enemy, the couch, right? That's what Greg Glassman said when he started CrossFit. In fact, most of their media team used to create ads about how the competition was the couch, right? And if the competition is the couch, you should be selling on transformation, because the kind of person that spends all their time on the couch is transformatively a different person than the person who shows up at your gym every day and fully integrates their community, right? So if you have this in place, you're ready for step 2, right? So, your front end offer is everything. It starts there. Your entire business is built around your front end offer, right? And once you have that, then you need a lead generation funnel that converts traffic into leads. This is step 2, lead generation funnel. Once you have a high converting front end offer in place, the next step is ensuring the traffic you generate actually turns into leads. This is why most gym owners struggle with lead generation. Is a lot of gyms get traffic, but people start clicking and landing on your stuff, or they start following them on social media, they start clicking their ads, and they don't convert those visitors into leads. Traffic and leads are 2 different stages of the funnel, right? Traffic is people seeing your stuff and clicking on your stuff. Leads are them taking the step to raise their hand and say, yes, I would like to hear more about this. I'm giving you permission to follow up with me. Traffic's end goal is to get leads. If it's not, then something is broken, right? You can do all the traffic in the world. When you're buying ads, you're getting traffic. When you're showing up at the top of Google, you're getting traffic. When you're making posts on social media, you're getting traffic. The next step is to get that traffic to turn into leads. So the problem there is you're probably relying on you have you're really proud of your old website, right? It's a brochure. And so they land on this website and it's literally a brochure and it just has about us pages and a never-ending number of things to click on, and it scrolls on and on and on. When in reality, it just needs to convert that traffic into a lead, right? It needs to have a clear call to action. It needs to, it's not an online brochure. It's not, I made a typo here, is not an online brochure. It is a sales tool, right? It needs to convert leads or visitors into sales, right? Good funnels fix this, right? The purpose of a lead gen funnel is to do 3 things: convert traffic into high quality leads, make it as easy and frictionless as possible for people to opt in, guide them towards action, and also knowing how the buyer behaves on the page. At Big Little Gyms, we build websites for gyms. So what we've learned is how people act when they're on the website. So we literally use heat maps to see what people who visit all of our clients' websites do, and then we put things in place to make sure when they click there, it takes them to the next action step quickly. And when that happens, you start generating more leads. And you also pre-frame their mindset. You get them ready to buy when they show up, because they're not just checking things out, they're taking action, right? So the 3 essential components of a lead gen funnel are a dedicated landing page, a centralized place all the traffic funnels into, and this becomes one of the most valuable parts of your business. And one of the things I see CrossFit gym owners all the time is they underestimate this. They're using some gym management software like Push Press or Wodify or one of these, and they upsell them on a website, and the website's terrible. It's not a good website. They're like, these are software companies. They're not marketing companies, and try to give you something that doesn't work well. When it's like all the traffic, all the things you're working so hard to do to get people to find you are landing on that page and not converting, right? And we'll see on these websites, even worse if they're home built, less than 1%, less than 2% conversion rates of the traffic that are landing on it. Whereas the sites that we build will convert at a rate of say 10% or 15%. And that will sometimes quadruple, triple, 5x, 6x the lead gen a gym is getting. And that's organic lead gen, leads that will convert at a very high rate. Okay. So it should highlight, what should that page have on it? It should highlight your front end offer. It should clearly communicate the value, and it should have a strong, clear call to action. There should be a compelling headline. There should be engaging an engaging subheadline. There should be clear bullet points. This video today is not on how to build a website, okay? But like, these are some of the points. It's super, super important. It needs to be built a specific way. Social proof is super important on these pages. Testimonials, success stories, and even guarantees, right? At our gym, we used to tell people, if you become a member of our gym and in 6 months, you don't believe it was worth it, we'll give you the money back. Guess what? No one ever asked for the money back, but it showed strength. It showed conviction, right? And it has to have urgency and scarcity and why they need to act now. Does your gym have a limited amount of space, have physical space? Yes, it does, right? You can't take an infinite number of members. You can only take so many. You need to be able to play that up in a way that doesn't sound gimmicky, right? So you need to avoid brick wall pages built by gym management software companies. These are often clunky, unoptimized websites that kill conversions. They don't do things like get traffic onto the Facebook pixel to help when you post on Facebook, it find more people, like the people landing on your website. Things that help optimize your Google presence, search engine optimization, SEO, all the stuff that's built into your website. A website is more than just a website, right? A website's a feature. A lead gen funnel is an outcome, right? And that's what we do. It needs to have, number two, it needs to have an automated follow-up system connected to that. Most gym leads are lost because they are never followed up fast enough. If all your leads are going into an email inbox somewhere and you're not following up with them for days, you are killing your gym's inflow of new members, right? You need to have speed to lead. You need to have automated email and text message nurture systems that engage immediately after you opt in. And not only do you need to engage, it's about what they say and when they say it. And the follow-up system should confirm their interest, remind them of the value, give them a reason to book an appointment or come in, and pre-frame expectations so they show up ready to commit. That's the biggest thing, especially if you're running ads. Anybody who's run ads knows that like the show rates are low on those ads. So you have to do follow-up a certain way to get those people to show up. Speed matters. We call it speed to lead. The faster you engage a lead, the more likely they are to convert. And that's where automation is huge these days. Now, so now that I've explained how to set this up, would you say implementing at least one of these steps to make a big difference in your business? Would you agree that, if I have a website and it is getting leads, or say I'm getting traffic, but then I'm not getting leads, is that a problem, right? If I am getting leads, but they're not actually taking the next step because I'm waiting days to follow up with them, or I'm slow, there's no automation, would you say that that's a problem? That's a big problem, right? And I got to ask you, would you commit to implementing at least one of these steps for your business, right? Will you do it, right? Because now is the time. If you're getting traffic tomorrow, every day that goes by where you're not improving that system is a day you're literally letting money rain out of the bottom of that bucket, right? And last, number 3 of a good funnel is an easy to book process. If people can't book a time immediately after opting in, you will lose them. You have to have an online scheduling tool that allows leads to book an appointment for their first visit or consultation. And it is not using your gym management software to get them to book a class. That is the wrong way to do that. When you do that, because what that does, it sends them to some landing page in your gym management software. I've seen them all. I've seen what all these platforms do. There's a page there where they have to create an account. They have to select a time. They have to do all these steps. When you're trying to generate leads, it needs to be as frictionless as possible. It needs to be a tool that asks them for a time and the name, address, phone number, email. That's simple, okay? That's simple. And that needs to be built into your website and built from a marketing perspective, not a gym management operations software perspective, right? We're not trying to get them to create an account. That is too many steps, right? You're creating a barrier to entry, and you need to create that. You need to make that barrier to entry low as possible to eliminate unnecessary steps and delays. If I am looking for a gym and I click, and your gym shows up at the top of a search for CrossFit gyms near me, and I go to your website, or I click the button because I'm interested, I'm seeing all your reviews, and it takes me to a landing page where it asks me to create an account, and it's asking me to pick from 5 different programs. It's showing me pricing. It's doing all these different things. I'm going to leave because that's way too much friction for someone that really just wants to take the first step and maybe just come in and check out the gym, right? Do not send them to generic gym management software sign-up pages. These pages create friction and kill conversions. You got to remember that every step in the funnel should move them closer to walking through your doors, right? So once we do that, you got to remember that marketing assets for your front-end offer, they need to be packaged properly with the right copy, the right messaging to be clear, persuasive, and built on the buyer psychology, the right imagery, photos, videos that reflect the outcome people will achieve on your site, and the right creatives that attract the right audience to drive them and get them to take action inside your funnel. Many gym owners overlook this step and just throw up an ad, throw up a landing page, throw up a website, or they just pay some company that uses some templated website to get their website, and it costs them so much, right? Just think about it. One person landing on your website that would have become a buyer had they taken the next step, because they didn't take the next step, even at $150 a month, if they would stay 18 months, that's $2,700 in lifetime value you won't collect from just one person. And if that's happening 3 or 4 times a month, that is literally tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue your business will not collect over the next year or two, right? It really adds up, right? So piecing it all together. Now you can build this system yourself. You can try to assemble it from a hodgepodge of disjointed softwares. You can try to piece it together from your own, your own landing pages, your own automation tools, your own follow-ups. You can go ahead and be proud and do all this stuff yourself, right? It is doable. You can manually track leads and hope you don't lose them. But here's the real cost of doing it wrong. Every every lead that doesn't convert, every lead you don't get is lost revenue. It has a huge butterfly effect. Even one lost member who would have paid as I mentioned, even one lost member who would have paid $150 a month for 18 months, that's $2,700 in lifetime value gone from just one, right? That's why you cannot cut corners here. So you have a choice to go and do that. And some of you might be good at that and have the time to invest in that. Or rather than figuring that all on your own, I've created a simple step-by-step implementation program here at Big Little Gyms where my team and I will help you set up your own growth engine using a platform we built that's included as a client of Big Little Gyms, amongst many other things. It's called Gymnetics, and it's included. And it includes everything. And rather than duct taping all these pieces together and having to worry about it and wondering if it's working, it's all built in one system specifically designed for gym owners like you with the data to see that it is working, right? So now that we've talked about that, let's move on to the next step, which is step 3 of driving omnipresent traffic, both paid and organic, to fill this funnel. So once you have your offer, right? You have your offer. We talked about that, your front end offer. Once you have your lead generation mechanism, your funnel, your landing pages, all that stuff dialed in, you need to drive traffic to use, if you use that offer to drive traffic to fill that funnel with high quality leads. So, once we've done that, again, we have a high converting front end offer and a lead generation funnel that captures and nurtures leads. The next step we need to do is fill that funnel with traffic. Traffic is the oxygen for your gym. Without consistent flow of new prospects, even the best offer and funnel will not produce results. You can have a great offer, but if no one ever sees it, it doesn't really matter. You can have a great offer and traffic, and if the funnel is crap, then you're not going to convert leads, right? So we're going step by step here, and step 3 is traffic, right? The 2 other steps prior are even more important, right? So why gym owners struggle with traffic? They, as mentioned earlier, they either rely too much on paid traffic, they get addicted to short-term spikes in leads but can't sustain it. And when ad performance drops or cost goes up, the lead flow dries up. They're too dependent on paid traffic. Plus also those offers that you're running on paid traffic, they need to be switched every now and then, or they stop working. Or they rely, this is most CrossFit gym owners, is they rely too much on organic methods, word of mouth, referrals, SEO. These leads are great, but they are inconsistent and unpredictable on their own. When organic traffic slows, especially from that of referrals, it becomes slow, reactive, and it gets completely out of your control. You're like, if you're only relying on organic, you're kind of relying on the seasons to control the growth of your business, right? So, and generally, the best way to look at this is like when your organic is doing well, that's also usually the best time to run paid stuff and really step on the gas. So the solution, a traffic strategy that not only leverages multiple traffic channels, but also understands how to adapt to seasonal shifts in consumer behavior. Here's the 2 pillars of omnipresent traffic, guys. Organic traffic, right? That's pillar number 1, the foundation of sustainable growth. Organic traffic is like a seed that keeps growing. It's like, imagine you're a farmer and you plant a tree today, right? And you know that tree is not going to be bearing fruit for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, right? But you're going to go ahead and you're going to plant that seed now, and you're going to continue to water that seed every day. You're going to make sure that there's new nutrients and fertilizer, and that the seed has everything it needs to become a great tree. If you do this well, you're going to get a lifetime of fruit. If that's an apple tree, it can last a lifetime and produce apples for a lifetime. And it's all because of that first 6 months, 12 months you put into that seed's early stages. This is how organic traffic works. Your gym should be everywhere your ideal customers are already looking. Organic Google search, right? Ranking at the top of your Google search for terms like CrossFit Gym Near Me, gyms near me, the other bigger, broader search terms that are not going down. Right now, CrossFit Gym Near Me, less traffic. It's down, as we talked about earlier. But terms like gyms near me are near an all-time high, right? You also want to make sure you optimize for like other ancillary search terms like best CrossFit gym near me. And where a lot of these things are optimized on is in your Google business profile and on your website. Those are the 2 places Google looks for proof that you are the best person to show there, and you need to optimize for that, right? So you want to optimize your Google business profile, as this is one of the highest converting traffic sources for local businesses for organic, right? And in addition, your website. So when Google sees the relevance and authority on your website, for terms like best CrossFit gym near me, they rank you well. And that's where having a professional company like ours, or whoever you want to use, that actually knows how to do this well and get results and get outcomes is worth the effort, right? Because again, it's not worth the cost of even one client to cut corners on this. Social media, content and engagement, right? You should be building a social presence around trust and authority. You should be posting educational, entertaining content that shows expertise and culture. You should be leveraging personal branding, you personally, right? Like there's 2 different kinds of brands. There's institutional brands, which is what the CrossFit name is. It's an institutional brand. It's a company. It's not a person, right? And then there is personal branding. Think about like your local HVAC contractors, your local plumbers, a lot of like the local pizza shops that aren't institutional brands. They often capitalize on the owner being the personal brand of the business versus an institutional brand. And that allows you to detach from the ebbs and flows of an institutional brand. Here in Phoenix, and I remember when I grew up in Detroit, and also when I lived in Southern California, in all three of those markets, the top HVAC contractors, I would hear their jingles on the radio, and it would always be the owner of the company coming on and doing an ad read. It would always be the face of the company coming on and telling their story, right? This is personal brand. And CrossFit gym owners don't do that. They hide behind their brand. They say, we're XYZ CrossFit, and then like no one knows who they are personally. Like no one knows they exist. I will tell you from building a company that has a big, strong personal brand like Big Little Gyms. Big Little Gyms is Will Hurst, right? Like it's what it is, right? You guys watch my videos, you guys get to know, like, and trust me. And I tell you, and I give you value. And like, because you get to know and like and trust me, you trust me a whole lot more than if it was just Big Little Gyms and my face wasn't out there because I look like you, whereas a brand doesn't. A brand is just a logo. A brand can be something that stands for something, and that's cool, but it takes a long time to build institutional branding. It can take decades. Nike took decades to build, right? CrossFit took decades to build, right? Like, how long was CrossFit around before it actually became a mainstream success? It was like a decade. A lot of people don't realize that, right? So most gyms, it's really hard to build institutional branding. Personal branding works a lot faster because people like people, right? That's where social media is really, really powerful, right? And email and or SMS, so using the tools, right? Like there's three components to being a good business owner. It's mindset, skill set, tool set, right? Tool set is using things like email and SMS nurture sequences to create consistent follow-up that help people like get to know you and get them to know, like, and trust you. And these drip sequences that we build into things like Gymnetics, they can educate someone over the course of like 30, 45 days, a year, right? And most people that are going to inquire with your business, especially when you really start getting traffic going, are not going to buy right away. Again, going back to studies, there's a lot of studies on this as well, that like only 3% of your current market is ready to buy from you today. And if that's the only people you're nurturing is the people that buy from you today, then you are leaving that next 30% of people that will buy in the next 30 days, which is 10 times the volume. Right? And it should be automated, but personal, right? Like you should find ways, like systems like Gymnetics, it calls the person by their first name and it thinks that like you're literally following up with them. It thinks that you're sending them an email, telling them a little bit more about your business, right? These things, and people know it's automated these days, but if it's done well, they appreciate it, right? They appreciate it. Referral and ambassador programs. Of course, like, the one thing most gyms do pretty well is having a great member referral program with exponential growth, but also supercharging that with like bring a friend days and building out an ambassador program for your most engaged members. These things are super, super important. I'm not going to expand on that a lot because it's one thing there's already a lot of content out there on, but I would ask like, would you agree that like these things are super important? Like driving traffic is super important from an organic sense, right? Like, and doing it in a very holistic way where it includes all these traffic sources, not just one of them. Right? Most gyms only do one of these things well, right? And let's talk about the other pillar of traffic, paid traffic. This is the accelerator for faster growth. If you want to scale your business, you need to figure out paid traffic. There's not a big business on the planet that crosses the chasm and goes long without eventually scaling using paid traffic. You have to, right? Unless your gym is literally just full. Right? Which can happen from organic. We've had a lot of gyms that work with us that use the organic mechanisms we give them and fill their gym up and don't have to run paid. But it's very rare, and not only that, like paid traffic allows you to go out and acquire more members when you need to, right? So paid ads allow you to speed up your results and reach new audiences instantly. And it's not just ads to go and get new members. It's also ads that increase reach and awareness, right? It gets more people to know you exist and not just opt in, right? Which helps put you on their radar, right? So you have things like Facebook and Instagram ads, which we've done a lot of videos out here on this channel and on our YouTube channel about how to build and run Instagram and Facebook ads. So we're not going to specifically talk about how to do that. I would watch one of those videos if you want to, but this is the fastest way to drive new leads when setting up correctly. So a little story, we have a gym owner that owns a couple gyms in Las Vegas. His name's Joe Teepee. He's actually a good friend of mine. He owns 4 gyms in Las Vegas, and his first couple gyms he grew organically, and he recently wanted to open up a second location for one of the concepts. It's called Tread Vegas. Now, Tread Vegas is not a CrossFit gym, but it is a group fitness gym that uses more of like a treadmill-based model. We've been talking for a long time, and he had talked about like, hey, I want to for this gym, rather than wait 3 or 4 years for it to make money, I want to make money on day one. So I told him like, hey, use the ad strategy we give you and go hard now. So the great thing about money when your business makes money is it can collapse time. So you can wait several years to get 150, 200, 300 members organically, or you could spend $10,000 today and open the gym with 200 members. And that's what he did. So Joe Teepee, when he opened up this location, he literally signed a lease about a month ago as of recording this video. And the day after, he launched ads, and he's spending about $200 a day on ads. And he has signed 156 new members, and he's opening up this gym full. And it is literally a 2,000 square foot concept. And so he's opening up this gym full. And so Ads are a way to collapse time and speed up results, right? Now, will he have a little bit more churn bringing that many members up at once? Yes, of course, right? But he's already crossed the bridge of building a team and fulfillment processes to handle that volume with his other gyms. Like, he's not a rookie anymore. He knows how to handle big classes and build community around that and get all these people to bond and come together rather than them feel disjointed, right? So he's leaning on that and feeling confident in that, right? So Facebook and Instagram ads are a great way to do that. You can also retarget people from other traffic channels on Facebook and Instagram, right? So say someone finds you through an organic Google search and they land on your website. You can have ads on Facebook and Instagram that after they land on your website, it hits the Facebook pixel. The Facebook pixel then serves them an ad that educates them a little bit more on their business, or it entertains them a little bit, or it informs them a little bit, or it shows them a piece of social proof, a testimonial from another member, and it reminds them. And now they're seeing you on multiple platforms, which again creates that neural pathway in their brain that you're bigger, right? That you are in demand, right? It's Google ads, right? Another great way to accelerate yourself to the top of the Google search, right? If you aren't organically at the top of Google search, or you're still doing the work, because it can take, as we talked about earlier, the Apple tree, it can take 6 months, a year, 18 months for you to find your way to the top of Google. If you do everything on our Google business checklist, it can take time, especially if your market is competitive. Now, search ads, Google search ads, are a way to just pay for the top spot. Now, they do cost money, but what they allow you to do is skip the line, right? You can wait or you can jump the line. And the key is to do both, right? So, paid traffic works best when it's fueled by an optimized funnel, not just boosting posts randomly. You have direct response ads for a specific front-end offer pushing into your funnel rather than just random ads, right? And so question for you guys, are you currently running ads that bring in real high traffic leads, for high quality leads, or are you just burning money on low intent traffic? Because a lot of gyms are, right? Now, I want to talk about what I call the paid organic strategy, which is the best of both worlds. It's kind of like my hashtag trademark, paid organic strategy that we thought of here. So if anybody else says that, you heard it here first, because we've been calling it this for a couple of years. But most gym owners just assume they need to run ads. But the real power is knowing how to combine high value organic content with paid traffic and create that omnipresent approach. When you do that, people will come in and you'll ask them how they heard of you, and they'll say, I see you everywhere, Will. That's what we see here at Big Little Gyms, is people see us everywhere. Because I'll tell you, once you watch this video and you go to biglittlegyms.com, just try it. Go to biglittlegyms.com. When you go to social media, Facebook or Instagram, you're going to start to see my retargeting ads on those platforms, right? And they're going to see a bunch of different ones that we created, right? A good example of how to stay front of mind with you, right? You're going to see some social proof. You're going to see some testimonials. You're going to see some freebies, some lead magnets I give away. This is what I call the paid organic strategy. And it uses a low cost set of awareness ads to stay in front of the largest local audience possible. And it ensures that every person within a 7-mile radius of your gym sees you regularly on social media. It's what I call the paid organic strategy. And it leverages organic social media content to build authority, trust, and engagement. It uses low cost awareness ads to keep your gym top of mind for thousands of people in your area. And it creates a local omnipresent effect so that people and prospects feel like they see you everywhere before they decide to take action. So instead of relying on cold traffic, people that haven't heard of you, or hoping organic does its job, this strategy allows you to warm up your audience over time, get those touch points, so that way when you do run ads for a specific offer, they convert and work at a much higher rate. We found that when gyms run ads just for offers alone without the paid organic approach, they get some results, but when we found that they run the paid organic and then they're running the paid organic, it's warming everybody up, and then they see the ad for the offer, they convert 3 times as many people into members, right? So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. And I would ask, in the comment section, would you agree that staying visible to thousands of local prospects and retargeting them every day and staying omnipresent would make it easier to generate high quality leads and memberships organically? What do you guys think? Do you guys think that would work? And so you could tell it's not just about running ads. It's about running the right ads at the right time, right? The real power of omnipresent traffic is knowing which offers, copy, and imagery work best on each platform, how to adapt your traffic strategies seasonally for maximized results, how to lean into more paid traffic certain times of the year versus organic at other times of the year, and vice versa. Different times of the year require different offers, different playbooks. A New Year's transformative offer in the beginning of the year, you'd be silly to not, lean into the transformation narrative that's going on. You're going to get a better cost per lead, right? Even if you don't like a transformation offer. Again, everybody's always buying a transformation offer. All of your current members bought a transformation offer. They might just not have been pitched it, right? Because they're experiencing transformation. So earlier in the year, running transformation offers is perfect. Whereas in the summer, you might do a transformation offer that's more focused around the summer body, narrative that's going on, the back to school narrative, the holidays, the fall, right? There's different narratives that when you lean into them, not only do they sell better, but you also get a better, you use the algorithm and you get a more reach with your ads and you get a better cost per lead with your ads, right? So knowing which angles convert best during certain seasons gives you a massive edge. Now, again, some traffic sources are stronger in different seasons. A successful gym owner does not just run traffic, they manage and pivot traffic strategically and dynamically based on demand, right? And one of the biggest mistakes I see CrossFit gym owners make is, they have a really rough November and December every year. Really common to hear that, unless they signed up with big little gyms in November and December, then they often sometimes have their best months, right? Because we start doing all these things. But they have a bad November and December, and then January comes around and it starts warming up. February comes and they start getting busy again. They sign up 7 or 10 new members. They're like, okay, cool, my appetite is fed. Oh, thank God that's over with. The worst is past, right? And they don't do anything else. They just let that come in organically, and then the summer comes and they get the summer slowdown, and it takes it away from them again, and they're right back at where they started at the beginning of the year. All the people they got during that peak season went away because they didn't oversell. They're literally gain 5 members, lose 5 members, gain 5 members, lose 5 members. You need to outpace your churn rate, right? You need to be leaning into it. When the season is good, when February hits and you're getting organic leads, that should be your trigger to go run the ads, to go do all the other things really, really well. Drive traffic like crazy, because that means people are watching. That means people are looking for it. And when you put it out there, you're going to get more leads, right? So that's how omnipresent traffic works together, guys. And, just to kind of summarize this section, when you layer paid organic with organic and paid strategies, you create a flywheel effect, right? Organic traffic builds trust for long-term engagement. Paid organic awareness ensures that your gym stays top of mind in your market. Paid lead generation ads bring in consistent new members, and your follow-up systems nurture all types of leads into paying members. This means there's no singular traffic source. You see all the gurus out there talking about like, do this one thing. That should be a warning sign that you're looking at a short-term thing if it works at all, right? No single traffic source is your lifeline. Having multiple streams of lead flow working at once is the key, right? So again, you guys, you can piece this all together yourself. You can figure out SEO and optimize your Google ranking. You can test different ad strategies and hope for the best. You can manually post content on social media all day, but here's the real cost of doing it wrong. If your SEO, your search engine optimization on your website is not dialed in, you're missing out on free high quality leads from the best source possible. Google, where people are literally typing in the words, searching for what you're selling. You're missing those. If your ads aren't converting, you're wasting thousands of dollars in ad spend. You're literally lighting money on fire with Facebook. You're donating it to Mark Zuckerberg, right? If your content strategy is inconsistent, you stay invisible with your market. Like, they might see your ad, but they never hear from you again, right? Red flag for them. They're like, oh, cool, this guy ran ads at me, but he doesn't actually want to take the effort to help me know, like, and trust them. If your traffic strategy is not adapting to seasonality, you are missing out on huge revenue opportunities. And this is why you cannot afford to cut corners when it comes to traffic. And rather than figuring this all out on your own, which is totally an option, right? You can do that. We've created a step-by-step implementation program where my team will set up the gym growth engine for you and coach and mentor you on how to use it for your gym for a long time so you can love doing it. This way you don't have to spend months or years testing traffic strategies. We set it up for you using a proven system that works. And just like I said, I used to do at my gyms, I do the same thing here. If it doesn't work for you, I give you your money back. No one ever takes me up on that because it works, right? And the only way I'd say it doesn't work is if you don't work, which I'm going to hold you accountable to, right? Step 4, guys, a scalable sales framework, closing more members at premium rates. Now that your front end offer, your FEO is dialed in and your lead generation funnel is converting and your traffic strategy is keeping your pipeline full, the next step is to turn leads into paying members at premium rates. A predictable, scalable sales framework ensures that you close more leads into memberships without feeling like a pushy salesperson because it meets them where they at. You consistently enroll members at higher prices and you remove the stress of hoping people just sign up after a trail. Most gym owners struggle with sales, and many gym owners don't think of themselves as salespeople. As a result, they rely on order taking instead of a sales process. They assume great coaching and great and strong community is enough, but the prospects don't just buy your gym because you say it's great, right? And they don't just buy because of the community. They don't even know what that means, right? They don't have a structure. These people, they don't have a structured, repeatable process. Most gym owners don't. They wing it. You're like literally like someone comes in, hey, do you want to buy it? Okay, cool, right? They try to sell memberships like it's a commodity, competing on price instead of value and trying to justify price rather than selling on value, right? They let the prospects think about it instead of guiding them to a confident decision, right? When someone comes into your business or inquires with your business, they're looking to make a decision. Thinking about it is not making a decision. Your goal is to help them make a decision for their own reasons, not for yours. And if you build the entire pitch around them making the right decision, which is to join your gym, and they can make that decision for their own reasons, they are going to buy and they're going to pay premium prices. This is why you need a proven sales process and one that works even if you hate selling, right? So the 3 components of a scalable sales framework are what we call the no sweat intro process, right? Which is turning leads into high intentional buyers. The no sweat intro, what we call the NSI, is the structured, repeatable consultation process that helps you close more memberships at premium rates, right? Instead of just giving giving people a gym tour or letting them test a class for free, the No Sweat Intro ensures every lead is guided through a structured conversation, right? That way it's measurable, right? Just like doing the same CrossFit workout, just like doing Fram every time you do it. It's the same every time you do it. Conditions don't change much. You can tell what you got better at. It's the same with this, right? You uncover their deep motivations and pain points, and you frame your offer as the solution for their specific needs and the solution to those pain points. And when it is done right, the No Sweat Intro increases close rates dramatically and shifts the conversation away from price and towards value, right? You want to get people off of price, right? People that want the best don't buy on price, they buy on value, right? And so I ask, like, would you feel more confident in every sale if the consultation followed a predictable, proven process? If all you knew you had to do was follow a few steps and you'll get the same result every time at a higher price point, would you follow it? If so, then I want to introduce you to the Gym Offer Codex. This is how you position and price your memberships. This is where most gym owners leave money on the table. They present only one membership option, hope the prospect picks it. They leave it up to a yes or no decision. There's a book called Predictably Irrational, which is one of my favorite books. I think it's Daniel Ariely, I think it's the guy who wrote the book. And he talks about numerous ways you can price things. And one of the ways he talks about pricing things is you never want to make it a yes or no decision, because that's like a 50-50 decision. The brain doesn't really think that way. It doesn't really think 50-50, but it kind of does. It's going to default to either yes or no, two options, right? But if I structure my pricing to where it's multiple, more than one option, one higher value, higher price than the other, and one lower value, lower price than that one, it anchors me on the higher one and makes the second one seem like higher value. So it becomes a which one decision, not a yes or no decision. And when you do that, you get a higher close rate at a higher price point. And discount prices, what they do, they kind of derail that thinking. They cheapen your business, right? So where most gym owners leave money on the table is they discount prices to make it easier instead of positioning the value as I just said. They don't have a structured pricing strategy to maximize conversation. So what we do with gyms here at Big Little Gyms is they go through what's called the Gym Offer Codex to workshop their offer, build their offer, and structure the pricing accordingly. And what happens is remarkable. It literally changes their business, right? The Gym Offer Codex is the framework for positioning, pricing, and presenting your membership in a way that makes your offer feel like a no-brainer. It gets your members to commit at higher price points, and it uses anchoring psychology to make premium options more appealing. Most gym owners underprice or undercharge simply because they don't know how to structure their offer. So I ask, do you see how properly framing your membership options can immediately increase your revenue per member? And I hope you do, because how you present something, how someone buys something is how they will use it. People that buy a higher ticket thing and don't feel like it's expensive, they feel like it's of value, use it better, right? Here at Big Little Gyms, there were times where we were much cheaper selling what we do. And we still aren't expensive by most people's standards, but we are more expensive than we were then. But what's funny is we actually sell more customers now at a higher price, and they use it better and they get more results because we got better at demonstrating the value and getting people to buy on the value rather than buy on the price, right? And I would tell someone on this, that might be a little bit of a tell here if you're considering working with Big Little Gyms, but I'll tell you right up front, if you're looking for the cheapest guy, not us. We don't want to be the cheapest. We're also not the most expensive. We are the highest value, right? We are the highest value. We make sure we get the maximal multiplier of result for the amount of money you spend, right? That's what we do, right? That's how it should feel with your offer, right? So number 3, handling objections and closing with confidence. Even with a strong offer, prospects will still hesitate. The biggest mistake gym owners make is letting people think about it. Instead of losing leads at this stage, you need to get good at sales. You need to handle objections the right way with confidence and pressure. You need to overcome pricing resistance by reinforcing the value of the transformation. And you need to guide prospects to a clear decision so they take action today, not later. And how you do that is not by presenting the price and then overcoming objection. That's what everybody on the internet talks about with sales, like how to say that one line, that sleazy line that gets people to buy, that, how to trick them, right? You don't need to trick anybody. What you do is you understand that pricing, when people hear the price of something, it makes the radar go off in their mind, and their brain starts looking for things that you haven't pre-closed them on. You haven't answered all their questions. So there's a loose end there, and they're going to take that out. Before you uncover price, when you're building value, you need to pre-close on objection. If you sit down with someone and I go over all, the reason why you're here, your goals, what you're currently doing, and then what life is currently like as a result of not doing them. And then I build all the value in my program and break it all down for you. I show you all you're going to get and how it's worth $10,000. And then I go over I think of all the things you possibly could say, and we cover all of them. And at the end of it, I say, is there any other questions? And you say no. And then I show you the price. You literally have one decision to make. Which one do you want? There's no other questions. They're all covered. you're going to close at a higher rate. It's going to happen, right? So these are the things that help you confidently guide the conversation, and people feel more comfortable making a decision when they have no other choice, because their brain does the work. The heuristics in their brain say, we have all the information we need. We can make a decision. It's either yes or no, and usually it's going to be a yes, right? So having that structured way to handle objections, instead of just hoping they come back when they say no, especially if your pricing is premium priced, is going to help change everything, right? So a scalable sales framework changes everything. When you follow this system, the sale becomes consistent because you know exactly what to say in every consultation. It's going to become predictable, and conversion rates stay steady so you can forecast revenue and figure out if you want to spend more on ads, knowing you're going to be able to close a certain amount of them, and more profitable. You're going to close more members at higher prices and increase their lifetime value. And what's funny is people who pay more tend to take the upsells more. So down the road, when you're selling some sort of other thing in your gym, supplements, personal training, other training packages, other types of programming, they're more likely to buy it because they buy based on value, not based on price, right? So once you have this sales process dialed in, you can confidently spend more on ads because you know you can convert leads to high-paying members. So I hope you see how having a repeatable sales system would remove the stress of enrollment and help you grow faster, right? So let's go on to number 5 here, and let's talk about retention strategies. So let's talk about keeping members longer, right? So there's no tactic, right? There's nothing that one thing you can do that's going to change everything. It's based on human psychology. It's based on the way people use things. And the reason why someone decides to use something and keep using something is really because of human behavior, and what I like to call the dose retention framework. So dose is based on 4 brain chemicals, and they are the brain chemicals that people love to get high on the most. In fact, there are people that take exogenous drugs to synthetically have the experience of these chemicals that we produce as humans in our bodies endogenously. Now, the reason why people take those drugs is because they are not naturally stimulating the use of those chemicals internally, right? And nothing feels better than a natural high. Nothing feels better than a natural dopamine high. Nothing feels better than a natural oxytocin high. Nothing feels natural than a natural serotonin high. The artificial synthetic ones are a cheapened version, which is why some people have trouble with them, because they don't, taking the drug for it doesn't always hit the same way. So dopamine, right? Instant wins and progress tracking. We need to have small, quick wins early in the process of them being a member to keep motivation high. Progress check-ins, goal setting, accountability, awards and recognition, right? Using a gym management platform like Chalk.it Pro. Chalk.it Pro is a gym management platform that I'm a partner on that helps track progress and reinforce achievements for the member. When they put their workout in every day, a little chalk dust thing pops up, and people love that. It's such a small thing, but it gives them a little dopamine hit, right? Number 2, oxytocin, right? Oxytocin is the chemical of connection. It's the chemical of community and connection, right? Getting people to indoctrinate and engage with their community early, and building a community where, people feel like part of a family, right? And there's those small touches that let them know it's okay, like their personalized text message shout outs and community events that massively impact retention, right? It's these things. Serotonin, recognition and status, right? Serotonin is engaged by them getting recognition and status, right? Celebrating milestones publicly. It's not like dopamine is the chemical you get when you get the sense of completion. Serotonin is the chemical you get when a third party, when someone else gives you recognition for that completion, right? It's them getting milestones, the 100 workout club, the committed club, right? So here at Big Little Gyms, we have what's called the committed club, where we ask all the gyms that are clients of ours to use the committed club frameworks inside their gym to boost retention, and it works, right? It highlights media members in your social media, in the emails, in your leaderboards very publicly. And then last, endorphins, right? So this is the fun factor. Endorphins are like what morphine and heroin give you the feeling of, this super duper high, the post-workout high, the experience. It's where they have a challenge and they overcome it, and it's enjoyable. It's the gamification, it's the themed workouts, it's the challenges, it's the social experiences that create positive reinforcement loops. And these things, if you can trigger stimulus inside your business, experiences that trigger dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, there's no tactic to replace that. People will continue to pay for your product because if they're getting high on these things at your gym naturally, there's nothing in their life that will replace that. In fact, we used to have members at our gyms that would literally think about where they were going to live and think about moving and taking jobs because it was so important they stayed a member of our gym, because they got their stimulus of these brain chemicals and these neurotransmitters at our gym. So I ask, wouldn't it be easier to keep members if you had a way to make sure that you were their drug dealer, right? Like you are the one dealing the drug they want to get high on every day. We've seen for the same reasons people will ruin their lives and to live close to their drug dealer is the same reason people will enhance their lives and live close to their drug dealer. You, the person who provides those drugs at your gym through the stimulus, right? So, skipping ahead just for the sake of time on this video here, guys, retention equals exponential growth. When your retention is strong, your gym grows naturally, because when you have more retention, you have more referrals, right? Happy, engaged members bring more friends. Higher retention equals higher lifetime value. You make more money per member without having to acquire more members, right? When you increase lifetime value. Higher retention is higher stability. You don't constantly feel like you're chasing new signups just to break even, right? One of my favorite sayings in business is that it's easier to retain a member than it is to replace them. Now, you should be doing both. You should always be growing, but there's going to be a natural churn rate, right? And what I would say also is to know what your churn rates are. Like, you're going to have a natural churn rate, and I would say for gyms of up to CrossFit gyms of up to 150 members, it's less than 3%. You should be churning less than 3% of your members. And how you figure that number out is it's the number of members you lost in a month divided by the number of members you started the month with. So if you lose 8 members and you started the month with 150, that would be something like 6%, right? For example, right? And that would be high. Now, up to 150 members, it's about 3%. Up to about 225 members for most CrossFit gyms, it goes up to about 4%. As you get more members, you're going to have a little bit higher churn rate, because you're just not going to be able to, you're just bigger. Also, if you have 225 members or more, the longer you've been around, the more churn comes into play, because when you first open a gym, nobody churns. But as you've been in business 5-10 years, you have members that have been members for 3, 4, 5 years that move and they churn. These things happen. So churn rate increases as you get bigger and you've been in business longer. Once you're beyond 225 members, I would say churn rates beyond 4 and 5% are not impossible to hit. They're going to happen. But the goal is to make sure you're not higher than that. If you are, you need to start working on that, because otherwise it's going to be eating into your new client acquisition numbers. You're going to be having to acquire members just to stay where you are, right? So again, you can piece this all together yourself, guys. You can try to improve attention on your own. You can manually track attendance and reach out to missing members. You can try to create engagement systems using spreadsheets. You can experiment with different ways to keep people accountable, but here's the cost of doing it wrong. If your members drop off after just 3 months sooner than they should have, you lose thousands in revenues. Your business will do half as much as it could have in a 3 years time. If engagement isn't tracked, you won't know who's at risk until it's too late. And if members don't feel connected, they will leave for a gym that does this better. And that's why you need a structured retention system so every member stays longer. And rather than trying to piece this together manually, we built out CrossFit Pro for you. It's a complete gym management software platform, but I like to think of it as a member engagement platform that automates tracking, communication, retention strategies. It also hosts your programming, your billing tools, your reporting for attendance, so you never lose members and never disengage with them again. CrossFit Pro increases your retention automatically by improving attendance tracking and engagement alerts, by automating check-ins and progress tracking. It has community engagement tools like Chalk Talk built in, which includes your leaderboards, your workout tracking, and your social features to keep people engaged, and a built-in messaging and accountability. Coaches can easily connect with members who need support through the Chalk Talk. So CrossFit Pro removes the guesswork from retention and ensures every member stays. If you want to check CrossFit Pro out, go to CrossFitPro.com, and when you sign up, use the coupon code BLG2 months, all one word, BLG2 months. You'll get the 2 weeks free everybody else gets, but as a follower of this channel, you'll get an additional 2 months free to handle the transition from your existing gym management software over, because we know most of the gym management softwares try to find ways to trap you, and we want to make it easy for you to switch without adding to your cost. And what's cool is you'll also save a lot of money. CrossFit Pro's full suite is very inexpensive for what you get. You get all the tools that combines tools of like push press, Wodify, Sugar Wad, Train, all these other softwares, all these other platforms are peddling that cost multiple $100s a month to have. We do all of that for less than $150 a month as of this recording. That might change in the future. Another reason to act quickly is you get locked into that low price, and also you're getting 2.5 months free with the code BLG2 months. Okay, guys, so that's it for this video today. I got more to share with you. I'm going to go on to the next video, but what I want to cap this off with is really talking about like turning pro, right? So it's all about removing yourself from the repetitive work. And if you're doing everything yourself, you're always going to be stuck working in the business, not on it, and you need to, really elevate yourself as a business owner and start systemizing your gym and running it like a true business. A gym that scales isn't dependent on any one person. It runs on systems, things like lead tracking and conversion metrics, standard operating procedures, and scalable team roles. And once systems are in place, your gym operates like a well-oiled machine without you having to micromanage and be involved in it every day. And really, like, turning pro is what I call the business owner mind shift. And the biggest bottleneck in your gym is usually you. It's usually you. And if you want to go from a self-employed technician, they call it the technician's trap. The book E-Myth talks about the technician's trap. And that's where most people get stuck in a self-employed business. You want to get out of that and get into the entrepreneur mindset of a true business owner, where you stop wearing all the hats, you start hiring, delegating, and automating. You stop thinking like a coach first and start thinking like a CEO. And you measure success in systems, not just sweat equity, right? You want to actually build a business that if you were to sell it one day, someone would want to pay what people buy businesses for, not buy the equipment off of you, because it's all hinged so much on you. You want to remove the self-employed mindset of I have to do everything myself. No one can do it as well as me. I don't need mentorship. If I work harder, I'll grow faster. And get the business owner mindset of I build systems so my gym can grow without me. I create a team and empower them. I focus on strategy, not just day-to-day operations. The high performance gyms I work with are run by owners who work on the business, not in the business. So I ask, are you ready to make a shift from self-employed to business owner? And are you ready to start scaling without burnout and have freedom? When your gym is automated, systemized, and data-driven, you can work fewer hours while making more money. You can have a business that grows without you micromanaging it, and you can step into a leadership role instead of being stuck in daily operations. This is how you build a gym that is not just successful, but sustainable. So I ask, wouldn't it feel amazing to have a gym that runs like a machine so you can focus on bigger picture growth opportunities, right? Wouldn't that be amazing, right? So if you're looking for a system that does all this together, the gym growth engine, here's how it all works together: a high converting front-end offer, a lead generating funnel that converts, an omnipresent traffic strategy, a scalable sales framework that is repeatable, and retention strategies that maximize lifetime value, and all that put together in a way that scales with the ultimate goal that makes the gym run like a machine, consistently attracting high quality leads, closing leads into members at premium rates, keeps members engaging longer and boosting retention and referrals, and runs on systems and automations and scales predictably, so you can no longer be self-employed like a true business owner. Then it's your time this is your call to action, guys. This is it. When you're going to, so I have to ask, right, before I make the call to action, if not now, when? When are you going to start using the things we talk about here to make real differences in your business, in your life, in your community's life? Do you see yourself being able to use what I'm telling you here in these videos and stay focused to make real change? There's something I need from you now. I need you to tell me, are you going to take action? And if not, why? Why spend the time, right? And if you found the time today was worth it, and if this was value, I need you to do something for me. Drop a comment below and let me know what stood out to you the most in this video. At the very least, hit that like button, because that's how you guys vote. You guys vote with your attention, but also with your engagement. And if this really helped you, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future content. Because here's the deal, guys. If I can get 50 likes in this video, which doesn't sound like a lot, but we get a lot of watch time in these videos. I've got thousands of hours of watch time on my videos, but no one ever likes the videos. So you guys are clearly watching them and engaging them, but you're probably, not engaging as much. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and take action for me. If you go ahead and put a like below and we get 50, I'll do a full Google ads and offer breakdown right here on the channel for free.